Today I'm going to show you the process for starting a coil basket. So here's one that I've created. This is sort of the way I went with it. You can create a different shape with yours. I just want to sort of show you what it looks like when it's done. Now to begin, I need a piece of coiling cord. I'm also going to need a needle. I'm using this plastic one. And then some yarn. So the yarn I'm going to use is blue. And I'm going to pull about 2 arm lengths of this yarn off. So if I do that right now, here is my number 1, and here is my second arm length of yarn, and then I'm just going to cut it right there. Now to start, I'm going to thread my needle just on the one end. So in order to do that, I'm going to find the end of my yarn and just make this small loop. And that small loop is going to go through the eye of the needle, right here. And then I'm going to pull it through just a little bit, and then this small tail that's sticking out, I'm going to push through that loop and then pull it. So now it's pretty much ready to begin. Now to get started, I'm going to find the end of my coiling cord, and you can see it's a little bit tapered off. I've cut it on an angle. And I'm going to take my yarn, and then I'm going to find the side that does not have the needle, so the end, and we're going to line it up with the end. However, we're not going to line it up so that they match like this. I'm actually going to turn it the opposite direction, like this. And then I'm going to start by wrapping the yarn around the coiling cord. And I like to come up towards me. So I'm going underneath and up towards me. And then I'm just going to keep wrapping it pretty tightly. It's okay that you can see that white end right there. We're going to cover it up later. And I'm just going to keep coiling all the way towards me until it gets to be long enough. So here it's about the length from my knuckle to the tip of my thumb. That's a pretty good length. And then I'm going to fold this so that the 2 white parts match up, kind of like this. And then I'm going to keep coiling, really doing it tightly. So this part's kind of tough. It's one of the harder parts to begin the coiling process. And I'm just sort of covering up all of the white section and then continuing to coil some more. And I'm trying to be careful not to let the white part show through. So once I've gone a little bit, then I'm going to start to connect it to the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it so it starts to sort of form this little swirl like this. And this part's kind of tough because it's really stiff in the middle or in the beginning. And then I'm going to take my needle and go right through the center of my coiling cord. So that little hole that was there, I'm going to go through there and then continue to wrap towards me. I always want to wrap towards me. And then I'm going to stop every so often and then put the needle through the center again. I don't want to get too far because the farther I go, the looser my coil basket will be. So I'm going to wrap it around again. You can see it wants to sort of stay in its position. It's kind of hard to keep it there. I go through the center again, and I make sure to pull it really tightly. And then once I'm through, I'm going to continue wrapping it. Wrapping, all the way around. So again, I just go a short distance. And then once I've gone that short distance, I coil it up again. And then we're going through the center yet again. And then again, continue to wrap towards me. There we are. And then this time will be the last time that I go through the center. So now it's going to start to change. I'm going to continue to wrap it a little bit, trying to cover up those white spots. And then this time what we're going to do is once we get far enough, instead of going towards the center, I'm going to just go move one coil over. So I'll show you that in just a second. I'm going to wrap it up, and this time instead of going through the middle, I'm just going to move one coil down. So here's the top one, and then I'm moving in one coil, and then I pull it through there. So from here on out, I'm not going to the center anymore. Each time that I connect it to the previous coils, I'm going to just move one coil down. So I'll show you another example of that. And then again, I'm moving just down one more coil through there. And then I continue to wrap it again. Now when I'm ready to switch colors, I'm gonna remove the needle from my yarn. So I'm gonna pull this out. And then I'm going to get a new color of yarn. So I've got some yellow yarn already cut here, and I'm going to thread my needle by making this small loop, placing it through the needle, and then taking that little tail and putting it through the loop. And then to switch colors, all I'm going to do is take this piece of string and line it up with the previous piece of string along the side. So it's going to, again, face away from where I'm starting, so they sort of match up like this. And then I'm going to continue coiling just like I was before. So I'm going underneath and I'm wrapping up towards me. And then I just pick up exactly where I left off. So after a little bit of space, I would use my needle to move one coil down and then continue just like I was doing before. So I move it down, place the needle through one coil down, and then pick up as I left off, and then just continue with the same process. Now once you have the size base that you want, you're just going to continue like normal. So you are just going to continue to wrap around it and make sure that you're covering up all your white spots. But then the difference comes when you are going through with your needle. We're just going to slightly move our coil so that it starts to curve upwards. So right about here, I would push it down. And then instead of lying it flat, I lift it up just a little bit. And it all depends on how much you want your coil basket to curve. If you want it to go straight up, you're gonna lift it up a little bit more. If you want it to be just slightly more curved, then you just wanna lift it up just a little bit. Now you can see that I have finished this to the size that I want, and I just have a little bit of coiling cord left. So I'm going to show you how to finish this today. First, you want to make sure that it is tapered, so it sort of is cut on a slant and gets gradually smaller so that we don't end up with a really blunt end like my first experiment right here. So to finish this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it until there's just a little bit left, like this. And then when there's just a little bit left, then I'm going to use the needle to tie it to the second cord. So I'm going to go through sort of like how I stitch it together normally. that. But this time I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to attach it down to the other cord. So I'm going to keep using my needle to go through to the other side to sort of tie it to that other cord. So I'm going to continue that until all of the cord is covered. Now once the entire thing is covered, I'm going to start the process for tying this string off. So what I'm going to do is I can see that the string is between these two coils, and I'm going to go through the next one down, and I'm going to slowly make my way towards the bottom. So I'll go through the next two coils and the next one. And then once I get down here, I'm going to start to make my way back up. So I'm going to move up and pull it through. Up and pull it through. And then at this point, I'm going to tie it to one of these stitches that I had from before. So I'm going to place my needle under one of those stitches, which it gets to be a little bit difficult, so you have to sort of maneuver it through. There we go. And I'm going to pull it through one time, like this, and then I'm going to pull it through a second time also. So this part takes a little bit more finesse to get through. So once I pull this through, you're going to create this small little loop and then use that to help you tie your knot. So I'm going to put the needle through it and then pull it tight. And then I'm going to do the same thing one more time. So I'm going to place the needle underneath. And then leave a small loop and then put my needle through it one more time. Pull it really tight and then I can cut it off. And I'll grab my scissors. So I'll cut that really close to it. And then we're left with a beautiful coil basket.